Kaazon's truth. Let's go.
Eat money.
My name is Kaazon, and I'm the one running Kaazon's truth. Always, if you have any questions or concerns, you can reach me at Kaazon@gmail.com. That's Kaazon@gmail.com, as posted on the screen. In order to support this channel, there's a few ways. The most common, easiest way, hit that like button, subscribe, share. That's 1, 2, and 3. Like button, subscribe, and share. There's 2 more ways. One, posted on the screen. $, KaazonSr. That'd be Kaazon, capital S as in Sam, R as in railroad, followed by the $. Last but not least, we have Zelle, also through the email, Kaazon@gmail.com. On your way in, please hit that like button if you already haven't, as we get ready to peel through one of the most educational. It's going to be some due criticism. There will not be that many to fight. I leaves no wiggle room. Keep that in mind. Kaazon the K Factor and Kaazon's Truth. Both of them. Not one, not the other. Both run under the Fair Use Act 107, where basically I'm explaining everything you see or will be shown will be for commentary, criticism, most certainly education, research. This channel is not entertainment, although you may find it fun. We will get to the bottom of some of the issues. The truth is that it does more harm than good.
Eat money.
Right now, as on the screen, July the 5th, 2026. I saw my daughter make that face. Oh, gee, Dad, here we go. I am not black. I am not. I am not. And neither are you. Those other people are not white. They're not. Period. They're European or Northwest Asian. Then you could get more into their tribe. English, French, Spanish, Russian, Turkish, Croatian, Yugoslav. Oh, my fault. Uh-oh. Y'all caught me in my first mess up. There is no more Yugoslavia or Czechoslovakia. My children wouldn't know what in the world I would be talking about. But if you are in between the age of 45, 63, in between that age bracket, we most certainly had on our maps of the time of Yugoslavia and Czechoslovakia. Today, nobody knows what you're talking about. And that's within a lifetime, depending on who's catching this, of ours or our children. Nevertheless, it's time for us to get into the crux of this. One of my main concerns with this, we're black people, foundational black. It's a pity, almost a travesty. Third graders have more of an understanding than most adults. Black is an adjective. Adjectives modify and slash or describe a noun. The big black car riding down the street. Big and black are adjectives. And they're describing and modifying the car. Do you understand that? You, we, us, we're participating in the very thing that's working against us. The 13th Amendment said no involuntary servitude. It didn't say anything about voluntarily, though. In other words, you will not be made in the public or the private, unless we're talking incarceration. And if I understand correctly, even they make a very, very, very small earning, even if they don't never see a dime of it, because they know there's no involuntarily. But voluntarily, if I, whether it's ignorance of the law, You're not wrapped too tight. You swing, but you miss. You 1/4 short of $1, don't matter. If I can get you to come do it, I haven't broken the law then. If they can get you to agree to be something that you are not, because it has dire consequences that comes with that such thing, but you do it with your own mouth, using your own breath to proclaim to be black, then when they practice those Christian black codes, which later the Christian part made them feel a certain type of way, you did. Somebody catch that phone, right? Made them feel some type of way. So they just shorten it up down to the regular old black codes. And that's where we're going to dive in and do some operating. Because for real, this right here, and I get very, 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 very jiggy, especially when I hear lawyers. They should know better. They should also know it ain't no almost, it's illegal. No, I'm not an attorney. I'm not a lawyer, none of that. So don't try that with me. My major was history with a primary interest, not theirs, mine. Not too long done, neither. Not too long done. Again, mine's, not theirs. Want to get this set up so that when it's time to dive, I'm black. Or take that pretty baby outside. Take the pretty baby outside now. Baby jizzes, peach, complexion, caramel. Or turn around, take a picture by the car, showing the car tire with your black. Take a picture with the baby, tell the baby how pretty they are, and then turn around and tell the baby what we teach our kids. Number one, don't lie to us. And then you open up with a lie by telling the baby they black. And then they go in the classroom and realize, wait a minute, the chalkboard is black. This crayon is black. My skin doesn't look the color of this. But because they know you'll beat them half to death, they won't say nothing. They just walk around with that confusement. Or we could concede right now that we're not talking about skin color when we're talking black and white. That means we're talking about something else. And if we are actually talking about something else, not actually skin color, well, we can have a conversation then. And I'm prepared to make my argument to you. You're the judge. I have more years behind me than I have in front of me. This is one thing I do want want to beg of you to reconsider, and we're going to get into why. Let's go.
And this is Crash Course Black American History. There are all sorts of ways that societies restrict people's movement. For example, people can put gates and fences around their homes and communities. Or there are traffic cones that tell us where we can and can't drive. Even though sometimes I might accidentally run over them. I'm working on it. But some methods that society uses to restrict the movements of people are far more sinister, far more serious, and based on distorted beliefs, have no sincere interest in the safety of those people.
This is for educational purposes. This is for educational purposes.
What I'm thinking of, in this case, are something called slave codes. Slave codes were based on the belief that Black Americans were just an economic investment. They were purposefully designed.
Even he being nice. But he's right, though. Because black is a new word, not too long placed upon you, and you rode with it.
To condone harming Black Americans and keeping them enslaved. Though some textbooks on slavery and slave codes refer to enslaved people simply as workers.
Right. Oh, goodness gracious almighty. We're going to get to some of that. I want to throw something else in before we continue that I'm begging of you to consider now. The mistake of the word Indian. Indian should not be anywhere in our language, no more than to study India. All because Christopher Columbus thought or lied or was confused or dumb. Choose one. Came upon these people not on the mainland of North America, but the island. And because he swear he was in India, he called those people Indians, and we've been running with it ever since. First of all, this is not India, and these our people are not Indians. The $5 Indians. Oh, when we get over to that part on another video, that's going to be jiggy within itself. Pay attention. Kaazon Truth not trying to fight nobody. But people that know me know. My message ain't changed in 30, 40 years. I was born into it.
They were not simply workers. They were treated as an underclass.
And also look for the Africans. You standing on Africa. I'm sick of that. I'm sick of that. Mother Africa, Africa. But bam, you are at home and been at home. The percentage of people that came from Portugal, Western or West Coast Africa, or islands to the main shores is so small in number. Right shortly after the birthday, 1776, from 1778 to 1828, I'll double check those numbers. I will. Because you were fighting back in so many different places. Man, let me get back to this. There's no such thing as Indians. Not here, because this is not India. And you got that word from one dude, one guy. Y'all used to celebrate him late down off in October. I normally used to get kicked out right on schedule in the principal's office. My mom be already, it was already, you know what I'm saying? Like, some of our people don't know how to stand up. Some of my people be on that bump that. I'm finna get that. I'm finna get that bag. That's cool. But isn't that sad when you can't go home?
And the legal system perpetuated that underclass status for economic and prejudicial reasons. Learning about slave codes makes all of this profoundly clear.
But we've been fighting a long time. It kind of remind me of them Germans in World War II. The ones that were taken as prisoners and brought back to the States. They would tell them, hey, the Negro troops, the German would tell them, today you in charge. But when we get back to your house over there in America, I'm going to be in charge. Meanwhile, Negro American, you might have a hard time getting from the base back to that little town you from. You may not even make it home. And not from anything that's happening over here. We talking about when you get back home. And as we look into history, we can find that to be true. That's sad. I don't know why nobody never took out a moment to have a moment of silence and a day set aside for the men who fought from and for America. Really, United States. That's really what we're talking about. United States and America are two different things. No differently than a sleeve is a part of a jacket. The sleeve is not the jacket. It's part of the jacket. United States of America. It's not America. It's something that is a part of America. As a sleeve is part of a jacket. You understand? Okay. Oh.
Slave codes were laws and policies developed during the colonial period to restrict the movement and freedoms of black people. Though they were called slave codes, many times they were applied to free black people as well.
Then and now. That's why I hate the disconnect between the uppity Negro class and the common Negro class. There's a disconnect.
Remember that the distinction between Negro and enslaved was essentially meaningless during this time. The primary reason the slave codes were implemented was to explicitly and legally reinforce the racial hierarchy within the colonies. Slave codes were a method of protecting the investment of white enslavers by restricting the lives of enslaved people in almost every imaginable way. The codes restricted enslaved people's ability to move around or engage in commerce that would make them financially independent.
Almost now. Except they don't mind the rapper going out with the Negro killing Negro music. You know I want to replace that word Negro and give you the real word, but because this is for educational reason, as they say, the N word, the ends killing ends music, movies. And it's my age bracket, the ones that actually owe the millenniums and gingers and all of that, an apology. It was in our era. On Monday, it wasn't there. R&B, we ready to go dance. You ready to introduce yourself to this young lady. You trying to get your afternoon job. You trying to get your money right to get you a little car. I'm from New Jersey, but I became a man in a little town in Alabama. You understand? My life story went the other way around. I left the North, born in the North, and came into the South. Monday, it wasn't there. Tuesday, something happened. There were deals signed. Yeah. Let's do this. Yes. Let's give them that. Let's see how it go. Wednesday, okay, now you got it. Movies, music, and then that awful lie, calling that our culture. Meanwhile, you couldn't move freely then, and not really now.
They basically restricted the very opportunities that would allow them to live with even relative freedom, when there were hints of enslaved people questioning their status, or even the possibility of someone planning a revolt. New slave codes were quickly passed to prevent such a thing from happening.
So stop this, we didn't fight. We just were lame. Yes, we was. If they would have had cell phones, tablets, with the mindset that they had then, not now. Oh, y'all are scatter buckets now. Oh, goodness gracious almighty. I'm a alpha, I'm a kappa, I'm a Q. I'm a this, I'm a that. I'm repping this. I'm this color, I'm that color. Yeah. If they would have had some cell phones, tablets, they knew the land. That's what be confusing me with the African people. Or the African lover story. Oh, we can't. How? How could we be a slave from sun up to sundown, but yet knew where the water streams? Which seasons the berries? Which ones we use for medicine and how we use them? Huh? How you come from Africa now? How Harriet Tubman folks done came from Africa, but yet she knew how to find her way from the south to the north. Without GPS, you can't tell me she put flyers in everybody's mailbox looking for help. Get out of here.
Virginia was the first of the 13 colonies to implement large-scale slave codes. Since the United States was not quite the United States yet, each colony had their own version of these codes. At the time, they were not yet even referred to as slave codes, but even without the formal title, their purpose remained the same: to fundamentally restrict the rights of Black Americans, free and enslaved, and to explicitly deny them the rights afforded to white members of society. Let's take a look at an example. In 1662, Virginia passed this statute: whereas some doubts have arisen whether children got by any Englishman upon a Negro woman should be slave or free, be it therefore enacted and declared by this present Grand Assembly that all children born in this country shall be held bond or free only according to the condition of the mother.
Stop right there. For those of you who could never wrap their head around child support, some of you that went in with them explaining to you child support versus you wanting to see your child, two different entities, two different divisions, two different offices, two different courts. In my opinion, one of them is constitutional and one of them is absolutely not. But nobody really wants to have that conversation. Therefore, be it therefore enacted and declared by this present Grand Assembly that all children born in this country shall be held bond or free only according to the condition of the mother. Therefore, the child was whatever the mother was. That right there, which is what lit a flame up under me, probably starting at around the age of 6 or 7. There was people born in the 1800s who done kissed me upon my forehead, rubbed some knowledge and wisdom in me. I thought of my grandmother's grandfather, who was a free man. My family on my mother's side is doubled up North Carolina. One, my grandfather, Farmsville. Her mother, my grandmother, Zebulon, Wake County, not too far from Raleigh. It kind of bestowed on my heart listening and understanding how my grandmother's grandfather, who was a free man, who spent the duration of the second half of his life trying to buy my grandmother's grandma from under slavery. And his children. There's a famous historian in my family. I come from a family called the Hortons there in North Carolina. There are plenty of people that had their moments on TVs, doctors, and everything, but I kind of draw a circle around. Dr. James Oliver Horton. He wrote a book, Slavery and the Making of America. If you give me a second, let's see can I pull it up. Anyway, I'm talking about my man's been on the History Channel, PBS. I don't care where you were at. None of that. If you went to school, junior high, high school, in the 1970s, 80s, or 90s, you, my friend, have seen my uncle, Dr. James Oliver Horton. My grandmother was a Horton. Here we go. My grandmother, before she married my grandfather, was a Horton. Yeah. And although I'm from New Jersey, as Dr. James Oliver Horton was born in New Jersey, we're not from New Jersey, for real, for real. Our maternal heartbeat is Zebulon, North Carolina. But yeah. And I think they're at the top. Give me one more second here. Hold on 1 second. And we're going to get back to it. Or you could just fast forward through this part. This is a video. Please subscribe. Hit that like button. But yeah, this is the big thing on the PBS. It took about, I don't know, I think about a week My wife saw him on television. Oh goodness, you couldn't. Hey, listen, my wife would look for the others. She couldn't even deny it. He looks just like your grandmother. We'll go into that when I get into my Kaazon's truth of what really got me going in this direction.
And that if any Christian shall commit fornication with a Negro man or woman, he or she so offending.
When they use the word Christian, replace that word with what you know today as white or white man. Before they use the colors ain't came into the dialect yet. But when you see Christian, that's why there's a separation on this sentence. And if any Christian shall commit fornication with a Negro, that goes to show you. That's why when I tell Christian, my fam, I understand what they're feeling and meaning. I do. However, well, I'm gonna leave that alone. But however, I know that they're not black. And I know those other people aren't white. And they didn't at one time call themselves white. They considered themselves the Christians.
Shall pay double the fines imposed by the former act. After Elizabeth Key's case in 1656, which we talked about last episode, the Virginia House of Burgesses passed this official law. It mandated what's known as partis sequitur ventrum, determining one's enslaved status based on their mother's labor status, as the legal method to determine whether an individual is enslaved or not. Some scholars, such as Jennifer L. Morgan, posit that it was actually Key's freedom suit that drove the Virginia House of Burgesses to create this law in the first place, a law that was also designed to discourage intimate interracial relations between black and white people in the colonies. Virginia didn't just stop there. In 1705, Virginia passed another law dedicated to regulating the movement and behavior of enslaved people. It was called an Act Concerning Servants and Slaves. This act banned black people from owning white servants and penalized those who presided over the marriage between a white and black person. It banned enslaved people from owning weapons. Other laws around the same time banned black people, regardless of their servitude status, from testifying against whites in court. You might think that in a country...
That's why you can have, in certain states, one black man, as they call them. Today, we are Americans. And we are the descendants of these people that my man is breaking down for us. That's our family they're talking about. Some of you feel hard at heart. You with your little disrespectful self to your family, your blood. Your folks' bones are scattered all up and down, especially on the East Coast. Men in the West, too. This was first contact, and it wasn't minimum contact, although it should have been practiced under minimum contact or conduct, sorry. And how you conduct yourself. Most of our people, they don't feel this. They've been moved off their square.
Where those same colonists would soon be demanding freedom while espousing the importance of liberty and equality for themselves, that those same people would be a bit more, I don't know, concerned about liberty and equality for everyone. But the truth is, America's promise and America's actions are very often inconsistent. Let's go to the thought bubble. In 1671, Maryland passed a law stating that even if an enslaved person converted to Christianity, that conversion did not change their servitude status. This was important because of the legal debate around whether Christians could be enslaved.
Exactly. That's why a lot of times I don't get it. Well, let me say this. I got it for a second. For a few seconds, I understood it. And then after that, I didn't understand it. Our people will cry over this. Meanwhile, it's not funny. It really do drown in its sadness. Meanwhile, the originators of said Christianity solely belong to them, the Europeans. Then, bless their heart, and wanted to be partaker in, wanted to become Christian. The Europeans go into a meeting and they say, well, they can call themselves that, but it ain't going to change this, which then makes me turn the camera and the microphone back to my people. Hey, listen, we can always lean on our ancestors. Build our energy and our spiritual off of our ancestors. We don't have to really like get in like you. They'll cry over that. I'm talking about being straight tears. I'm talking about losing it. I'm gonna make a quick comparison, and then we'll get back to this. I wasn't finished with all my homework here, but those of y'all that follow me from the K Factor, you know, we'll just dive on in and we'll ride together. They will cry over this before they cry over their own people. They would do a bigger story on this than they would this. They almost are outright deny that ain't none of my family. Them ain't none of my people. Little buck-toothed Negro, you. That's why I don't get invited to a lot of functions. A few. And it's not that I be going off. I don't have to. I've been in this study all my life. Two, I'm one of those ones that don't believe everybody has an opinion. I said to my niece this morning, if your grandmother, your mom, my father, my aunt, my father's sister, and my granny. Now, let me set up something for you real quick. If you hear me say the word granny, I'm talking about my father's mom. And I'll show you. If you hear me say my grandma, I'm talking about my mom's mom. And last, if you hear me say grandmama, I'm talking about my Alabama grandmother, my stepdad's mom. Are we clear? Granny, father's mom. Grandma, my mother's mom. Grandmama, my stepdad's mom. And I sat in all three of their classes. Different, oh man, goodness gracious almighty. Our people will not cry for them, but they'll cry for this. Let you ponder on that for a minute. Then, let me center this off right here in front of you. Let's center this off. This is why they could write and put this on you right here. Let me make it a little bit bigger. Yeah, let me stretch the screen. I understand if somebody has to leave, oh, he ain't got his stuff together, huh? Yeah. Ephesians 6 and 5. Slaves, obey your earthly masters with respect. This God talking now, according to their book. It's their book. And fear, and with sincerity of heart. They want you to do it in good spirit. Put a smile on your face. Be scared, though. Be scared, though. But you better put a smile on. Just as you would obey Christ. I want you to treat me like I'm God. I want you to fear me as if I'm God. And I want you to do it with a smile on your face. Huh? Are you getting this? Obey them not only to win their favor, when their eyes is on you. You see them at work. Boss man come in. Oh, what is it? Let me get up. Oh, sweat. Y'all get up. Yeah, y'all get. Oh, y'all don't saying that. Stop playing. That's the problem. You play too much. You play too much, and we're running out of time. Boss come in. Oh, okay, come on. Hey, John, come on. I'm talking about. Oh my goodness. Come on. Put it up. Get the screw. Get it. Turn it up. Then you got me on the site. Same speed, same precision. Dang, K, you ain't no man. Listen, K not trying to hear none of that. It's not my. As I heard one person say, I'm a cover on this. It ain't my skilo. I wasn't born into this automatic fear of the European. I was aware, but I didn't never have this. Okay, hey, when the white man come in, man, you better come on, man, you better straighten up, sit up, put a smile on your face, man. Nobody not with that. Sometimes it calls me and the brother to get into it. Bruh, my fight not with you. I don't feel like taking the time out to have to defend against you. I'm fighting not with you. And there's a lot of that going on. Some of us, the Yvette Carnells, beautiful, beautiful sister, extremely smart, extremely dedicated. I told her one time, I said, you know, it's so hard to get to the table where the Europeans are at to have and bring this conversation to a conclusion. Reparations at the top of the key. I'm talking about at the very top. That protected class status. That's why that 14th Amendment, I know that thing inside out. It belonged to us. Say what you want to say about Trump. Say what you want to say. You're free to do so. But you can't take away them 72 hours after that man took over that White House. That man came out open camera and told you, Americans who are the descendants of slavery, told you he done had it with the other party allowing everybody to come through the 14th Amendment. People with pimples, people that wear glasses, my toes itch. I don't know if I'm a boy or a girl. I think I'm a dog or a cat. I'm from here. I'm from there. I'm from the place that you were warring with. Imagine that. Imagine that. United States in a fight with somebody, and their people can come over here and have more status. Oh, I wish somebody would write the word status in the chat. Even if you follow from the K Factor on the Nesto Sonia fiasco. Shirley told Nesto early off. She was smart enough not to go all into it. His ass so damn busy trying to goddamn on scheme somebody out of something, trying to live this certain particular life. He didn't even know what it meant. It went right over his head. And I don't blame Shirley Strawberry for not giving up. What she know, she know. Black and white is status. Those people that come over here from Nigeria, they are white. Stop playing with me. They are white. As to their status, Rick Child that shot Cyrus, I don't care about him being from Hong Kong. That just tells me his nationality is Chinese. But his status here was white. While 5 Negroes sat up there and didn't reject his self-defense on behalf of his son. After all that running that boy did, all that running Cyrus did, trying to get up out of there. Why these people? And then at the end of the day, you talking about these laws? South Carolina say, yes, I can. Yes, you can chase somebody. That ain't the dagger though. Here's the dagger. If you go back and listen closely, Sean Kemp, that was the Rick Child's attorney. Check this out now. Not only does South Carolina say that there's no law against you chasing somebody, however many feet. You can come off your private property into the public and chase them down. And here's the dagger. You can be wrong, as Cyrus never took the water. Out of the few little people that don't want to, them little buck-tooth talking Negroes, boy. They don't dare want to take this up. Because I could crash it from both sides. Nevertheless, my main angle on that, Rick Chow was white, according to his status, not technically the color of his skin. Oh, I hope you're getting some of this, but I need to move right along. Let's get back to this.
In a place like South Carolina, well, they built a whole society around slave codes. They did it, as they all did, for both economic and societal reasons. These codes banned black people from engaging in any type of trade, did not allow for enslaved folks to travel without notes from their enslaver, banned enslaved black Americans from keeping loud instruments like drums and horns, and gave law enforcement the authority to search enslaved black people and to whip them if they appeared to be engaging in what was deemed disorderly behavior. Many of these codes showed up after slave rebellions, when enslavers were particularly interested in protecting themselves and their property from enslaved people who wanted their freedom.
Oh, right there. I want to go back just a tad. All right, here we go.
Whether Christians could be enslaved. In a place like South Carolina, well, they built a whole society around slavery.
We were just talking about South Carolina. Not only can you chase somebody, you could kill them. And then find out you were wrong. It almost sounds like the Casual Killing Act, where the master's wives, the mistress, would have our babies up in the house, 4, 5, 6, 7 years old, 8 years old, 9 years old, 10 years old, all the way down to 4. Sweeping, mopping. Kids being kids, eventually 2 or 3 hours go by. Shit, you want to, you know what I'm saying? You kind of want to do their own thing, wear mama. The mistress would, man, it's kind of sad, but anyway. Whatever kind of conduct would be going on in front of the mistress, whether the child wasn't working fast enough, hard enough, they were whining, they wasn't feeling well, whatever. They wanted their mom. She could chastise them by beating them. And in the case of the child dying, so that they wouldn't get in any trouble, they passed the Casual Killing Act. You casually killed this kid in the process of trying to chastise them. It's okay. And then my people running around here talking about something. I don't need no reparation. Get it out the mud. Bump these Negroes. I'm finna come up. Man, who signed my paycheck? The white man signed my paycheck. Negroes don't sign my paycheck. Get my money.
Slave codes. They did it, as they all did, for both economic and societal reasons. These codes banned black people from engaging in any type of trade, did not allow for enslaved folks to travel without notes from their enslaver, banned enslaved black Americans from keeping loud instruments like drums and horns, and gave law enforcement the authority to search enslaved black people and to whip them if they appeared to be engaging in what was deemed...
Come here, what's your name? Turn around, let me go in. I'm talking about just violate. I'm talking about 1, 4, turn around and do number 8 on you. That's what they did to Nesto. Excessive bond.
Disorderly behavior. Many of these codes showed up after slave rebellions, when enslavers were particularly interested in protecting themselves and their property from enslaved people who wanted their freedom. And slave codes weren't just in the southern colonies. New York, for example, had their own set of these laws. A 1702 slave code in New York banned people from trading with enslaved people at all. It also prohibited 3 or more enslaved people from meeting together at the same time. From 1703 to
That was a dagger. You and your homies couldn't hang out. They see to it. I'm talking about it was taught to me as a kid or a young man. That's one thing I appreciate my stepdad for doing. Explaining to me, no, you know what? No, all your friends, they better have their own car. No, sorry, Bob, son. No. It's my stepfather now. No. Police see you coming, boy, you just asking to be stopped, huh? Even if we're not doing anything, they feel alarmed if they ride by and they see three of us standing there talking. That could be illegal. Well, you heard what they said. Let's go.
New York, for example, had their own set of these laws. A 1702 slave code in New York banned people from trading with enslaved people at all. It also prohibited 3 or more enslaved people from meeting together at the same time. From 1703 to 1704, Rhode Island banned the enslaved from being out after 9 o'clock at night unless they had what was deemed a lawful excuse.
Curfew. And you at home here. You showed them around. That disconnect.
Pennsylvania. They also had infamous slave codes. Punishment for offenses committed by white and black people could be deeply and even lethally unequal. While a certain offense committed by a white person might result with them being whipped or branded, a black person charged with committing a similar offense might be killed.
Just like that. Just like that. Turn it around. Carmelo Anthony walks down to Austin Metcalf and exchange words in interest in him getting his hiney out from up under this tent. Carmelo Anthony lunges at Austin and/or jack him up almost out of his shoes. And Austin takes a knife and stick it in Carmelo one time and then gets out of the area where all of Carmelo's friends are at. Austin then runs down to his coach. He's sobbing. He's upset. He's 17. He doesn't know that he has the right to remain silent, or he's in his emotional state and feelings. Get caught up under a spontaneous utterance because he's emotional. I'm sorry. No way, no how would Austin get or would have even been charged with murder. I heard a brother, I think his name is Dennis. Sperling. I heard him ask a brother, was there a difference between killing someone and murdering? The young man gave yes in a quick example. Dennis Sperling, as an attorney, although he's not a criminal attorney, it kind of shocked me a little bit on his response, as well as his continuing black, the black this, see, blacks that. As a what? Austin would not have been charged with murder to the first degree, nothing. Maybe enough pressure from the public, manslaughter. I mean, in the same state of Texas, a young kid told the other teenagers what he was going to do to the kid the next day. Plenty of text messages as evidence. If that's not premature, premature. If that's not premeditated, I don't know what is. Went to the school the next day and did what he said he was going to do in that bathroom. I know most of you seen it. That thing went across the internet because people recorded it like wildfire. At the end of the day, the boy got 10 years with a 2-year mandatory. He already back at home. "10 years with a 2-year mandatory." Another stabbing of a teenager into another teenager on school campus. That kid there got 10 years with a suspended sentence and replaced with probation. Them people call Carmelo a murderer. I've heard some people try to describe in one way he's thugging. What? 2 jobs, captain of his football team, saving lives. Done did well enough. His parents done got together and got him his own little Rex. Although even if it was used, he got his little girlfriend. His homeboy Eddie with the okay, I keep the kids. If it was the other way around, my point is, in matching with this thing that we're watching, people try to say, well, race had nothing to do with it. You had a victim, you had a suspect, you had a confession, you had the murder weapon, you had a spontaneous utterance, you had an admission. I'm talking about a paradise for a district attorney. Oh my.
Thanks, Thought Bubble. White colonists worked overtime to make sure that the law was used to hurt and constrain Black Americans, just because of the color of their skin and their place in the American economy. In early colonial history, white indentured servants and enslaved Black people actually had somewhat similar positions in society. But as we've seen in this episode, that wouldn't last. Colonial governments created specific laws that would clearly and legally demarcate what rights a white person could have and which rights a Black person could have. Or perhaps, more appropriately, which rights they couldn't have. I'm sure that many people look at these laws and are appalled that such things ever passed. But it's important to note that while today such discrimination might not be explicitly stated in the language of the law itself, laws across the country have different implications and are often enforced differently based on someone's race. This impacts jobs and housing and our criminal legal.
Isn't that crazy? from the 1700s to 2026. Yeah. And we had a nerve to get behind and make them superstars. I'm talking about live a life that it would take you 3 lifetimes just to add up to one of what we'll do to each other, how much we don't like each other, what we think about the sisters, what the sisters think about the brothers. What does this do for our kids? What's the message out there? That was one of the things Obama said, I think in 2008, that caught my attention. Somewhere around August or September, I can't remember where he was at. And he was doing his little speech and he was trying to touch on all the groups. And when he got to us, he pulled he is European, so I get it. I get it. Black men, take care of your dad, take care of your children. Huh? Who put this in the psyche of the mind that the brothers don't love their children? Where that play button at?
Legal system, our schools, the list goes on. Looking back, it can be hard to stomach that our country ever implemented these horrific slave codes. But it's important to note that, as is the case throughout Black American history, people pushed back against these laws because they knew they were wrong. Later in this series, we're going to learn about the myriad ways that Black people have resisted these injustices over time. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Crash Course.
And that was my man. And that was used for educational purposes. We have some more selected at another day to help me make the point that you need this. I got on my shirt. I am not black. I got more props when I wore this out from 2 European women at 2 different locations. One, I was getting some gas. She said, goodness gracious, finally somebody with some sense. We are not colors. Every time you agree to be black, you are pushing yourself further and further away into their net. There are Negroes out here who know what I'm telling you is the truth. But because their career, their job, their money, my family gets to take, vacations 2-3 times out of the year. I get to hold my teacup funny. Anyways, one of the points that I was hoping to convey, we need to get a little bit more behind your people who has your best interests at heart. The crazy thing about it is the people in this picture and the people that perpetrated this, their families are still walking around right now. I'm going to tell you something else too. So as a researcher, I go in. I think this is a Virginia. Then I look for this. That's one good thing about it. Oh, that's one good thing. They separated us. You know what? That makes my work a little bit easier. Find somebody in your family who's going to be willing to sit down, go over Auntie so-and-so house, or Uncle him and them, or grandma, or great-grandma. Ask them to give you the box with the obituaries in them. That is something that you can get your hands on. That is a very, very, very good source into helping you find your family, acknowledge your family, and perhaps remember what it is that they were counting on us to do. So then after I go in, oh yeah, I really got to put this in order. Give me 1 second. Let me back up here. That was the cover. That's the people. Oh, wait a minute. 1 second here. Because it's not a matter if I have it. Oh, I have it. And look, let me while I'm looking for this other thing. So again, I was from New Jersey. My mom met my stepdad. We moved to Alabama. Little town called Troy. 45 miles south of Montgomery, 45 miles north of Dothan. And some of the family, my cousins and other friends of the family, man, we don't never win, man. I don't even get in it, man. They don't never pick one of us and whatnot. I said, what? And me, I in my head, it was easy for one of my own to kind of bomb rush me because I never was ever, from the way I understood it at that age, my interest for confrontation, even if it was good confrontation, was never bared towards my own. Yeah, we had little fights and little stuff like that in New Jersey, but it was different in Alabama at first. But anyway, after they told me that none of us never won, I got in that science project. Uh, uh, in first place. It's Eric Osborne or Bourne, and I believe that's Casey DeRamus. If I'm not mistaken, I think later her dad became a judge. I'm up in there in Alabama when I cut this clip out of the newspaper and sent this to my grandma and my granny back home in New Jersey. Do you have any idea? My grandma, my mom's mom, who was no chump, she didn't curse. She only said 2 curse words in my lifetime. She lived to be 100. Born in 1914, she died in 2014. The only time I ever heard her curse was 2 times, and each time I asked her to give me the exact quote of what said person said. And she did. That's it. Right. There I am. Grandma kept thinking, I don't want you to be one of them. uh, Grandma had concern. Grandma didn't want it to be like that. So grandma, no problem. The kids, them, the fam, them, they were like, no, we ain't never, what? And I don't know, me being me, I just felt like we ought to do something about that. So we did. All right. Now there's a telltale story in that. Now, because my attitude was, I ain't do this for me. I did this on behalf of the fellow students who look like me. Felt like they never had nobody that looked like them to celebrate. Let's go. Now, you would think that would have put me in the, because you do, in the top echelon of the Negro children. But because my attitude was, I didn't do it for myself, I did it on behalf of the mothers that look like me, made them kind of like, nah, we can't really mess with him. I really want to use the other word. That's how it went. It was cool though. It didn't change nothing. Later on in life, that comes in handy. Where I'm in the middle. I know people of the upscale families, and I knew the ones that were not on the upscale or any scale for that matter. I felt more comfortable down there with them. Because sometimes the upper ones be willing to play the European game to go against the low, and I just can't have that. That's my class. That's my video. Until the next time.
Need money.
Remember, if you have any questions or concerns, you can reach me at Kaazon@gmail.com. If you didn't hit that like button when you came in, be sure to hit it on your way out. $ KaazonSr. Kaazon@gmail.com will get you into my Zelle. It is 86 degrees here on the Gulf Coast in Pensacola, Florida. It was a mostly sunny day. It is Sunday, the day after the 4th of July. And here, we went back into some history before the 1776 mandate. I'll leave you with this. The preamble said, we the people, in order to form a more perfect union. What does that tell you? That tell you that there was a union before the one that they felt like was going to be a more perfect one. My question to you is, from our people's angle, how did that perfect work out for us? That's all I have.